Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the December 10th Civil Service Commission meeting. May I please get roll call?
Yes. Commissioner McGrabian,
Here.
Commissioner Jihanian,
Here.
Commissioner Reen,
Here.
Commissioner Naravian, Chair Hatamian.
Here. May I please get the next item?
Consideration of the minutes for September 10th, 2025, October 8th, 2025, and November 12th, 2025.
Do we have a motion? I will refrain from this vote since I was not here.
I'll move that the minutes be approved.
Do we have a second?
We have to have different commissioners vote for different meetings.
Oh, we have
I
two
cannot
meetings
vote
we
for
have to approve.
September. I wasn't here.
Okay, so we'll start with the September one first.
Yes, and present was Reen Naravian and Chair Hatamian.
Very good. Then I'll second. May I please get a roll call?
Commissioner McGrabian,
I wasn't here. I wasn't present.
Commissioner Jihanian,
Abstain.
Commissioner Reen,
Approve, yes.
Commissioner Naravian. Approve, yes. Chair Hatamian.
Yes. And now we can move to the October minutes.
And present on that day was Commissioner Reen, McGrabian, Chair Hatamian.
I'll move to approve the minutes for October 2025.
Yeah.
Second?
May I please get a roll call?
Yes. Commissioner McGrabian,
Yes.
Commissioner Jihanian,
Abstain.
Commissioner Reen,
Yes.
Commissioner Naravian. And Chair Hatamian.
Yes. Can I get the next item, please?
And present for November 12th was Commissioner Reen, Commissioner Jihanian, and Commissioner McGrabian.
I'll move to approve the November 2025 minutes.
Second?
May I please get a roll call?
Yes. Commissioner McGrabian,
Yes.
Commissioner Jihanian,
Yes.
Commissioner Reen,
Yes.
Commissioner Naravian. Abstain. And Chair Hatamian.
I will abstain. Thank you very much. Mr. Kwan, may I please get the next item?
Oral communications, we do have 2 cards. We do not have any phone calls. First speaker is Mr. Herbert Milano.
Good evening, Chair Hatami and members of the Commission. My name is Herbert Molano. I have a presentation to give you, and I first want to start with the fact that once a generation, the City of Glendale convenes a charter review committee. And I think you all know how important that is, right? It's our city's constitution. And it is where the city must, or the residents, right, or commissioners and committee members must instill those very, very important rules by which the city council will be guided by. And oftentimes we have movements by the city council which are at the border of being against the charter, and they have to be stopped by the city attorney. It says that's against the charter. And within the charter of many cities, we have a rule. It's a significant rule, which is at the essence of why civil service commissions exist. And you exist because for many years, 100 years ago and before, we had this significant situation with the spoil system, right? New people come on board as elected officials, they move management out, they bring their people in, and it was a horrendous situation. So we have something similar here in the city of Glendale, and it's called nepotism, the hiring of family relatives based upon their influence. And that's what this talk is about. And the objective is that at the end of this presentation, that you take it into your hands, because we only have about maybe 2 or 3 meetings left of the Charter Review Commission, because I think it needs to be changed there. So nepotism is a barrier to fair hiring, the practice of those in power of influence, of favoring relatives, friends, and associates. I'm not saying anything negative about the quality of the people in Glendale. I'm just simply saying about this particular practice. We continue, please. So let's look at a summary of nepotism in Glendale. Next page. As of November of 2025, through my California Public Records Act, 7.4% of the city of Glendale's workforce has a disclosed family relationship. Next page. The city attorney's office, these are control departments. City attorney and human resources. City attorney, 21%. Human resources, near 15%. Nepotism internally. Next slide. Intra-departmental consolidation. A staggering 40% of employees with relatives work in the same department as their family member. Next. Immediate family relatives primarily is siblings and spouses. Next page. And there's a gap with regard to the data integrity. And I'll give you an example that's not on my slide. The Glendale Fire Department has a roster of 234 employees. They state in their report, according to my Public Records Act, they disclosed 4. An average nepotism rate of only 1.71. And this is a department that historically are very proud of saying, I've been in the fire department, it's my family heritage, right? It's sons, it's cousins, it's nephews, and so forth. And when you look at it and compare that to the rest of the city's rate, it's incredibly low compared to that. So I don't believe that I was giving correct information. Next page. So we have the current state, how many are extant, and how many are applying. And we find that if I were to compare the number of people who are hired who have family members and assume that only 2% of the applicants have family members, we find that in some departments, particularly the police department, we have a 14 times greater chance of being hired than somebody at random making an application. It's almost as if for an applicant that needs to shoot a ball into a hoop to get hired, a person who has a relative has a hoop maybe 8 feet wide, right, in diameter. That's how big the difference is. And that is the purpose of my presentation with regard to my study that I've done for the past several months in trying to get at that number. I think that it needs a review of a longitudinal view, maybe 10 years or 15 years, because many of the people who today can say, I don't have any relatives in there, they probably did have one somewhere along the line when they were hired or when they were promoted. I believe that this commission needs to do a thorough, complete study of hiring practices, nepotism, and including other ways in which that can be facilitated, including the purpose of having this 50% or more scoring rate that is verbal. That needs to be looked at. Thank you very much for your help.
Thank you.
Mr. Milano, just a comment. The fact that there are employees working here, I don't think that people have family members that are employees is not nepotism per se. There's a requirement that somebody in a position of power exercise that power to favor a family member. So to me, I would need more information about what you're saying to establish its veracity. We do have in the city a system where people are required to disclose on applications if they have a family member working here, so that should be a trigger. So what I'd like to say to you is if you have, and these statistics are nice, but we don't know what they're based on or if they're valid or not. So if you'd like to share the data upon which you base these statistics, I, for one, would read it.
Excellent.
Is there any prohibition on Mr. Milano supplying that to the commission, and I'll look at it?
No prohibition at all.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. By the way, the city treasurer's 2 children got hired by the city of Glendale. So for an elected official, the probability of getting hired, 100%.
Mr. Milano, before you leave, first of all, thank you for coming forward and speaking. I understand what you're trying to present, but to kind of piggyback on my fellow commissioners' comments, when you present percentages, one of the percentages that would be helpful is whether or not these individuals, the 7.4%, went through the examination process, right? It would be good to know if they adhered to the parameters that are already in place in order for them to get banded on an exam. Another area of consideration is, how did they band? Were they reachable? And if they were not reachable, how did the hiring authority go through the list to get to band 2 or band 3. You know, if a relative member tests well and is in band 1 and is the better candidate, then they should get hired, right? We can't automatically say that they should be excluded. But if they're all the way down the list, those of you who understand the civil service process and the hiring process, and if the hiring authority is exhausting the list, just going through the band, one by one, list by list, and then making that selection, I think at that point, then there may be something to look into, and or was there a justification given? I've done many hirings where I've hired people off of band 5. I've gone down the list and they ended up being exemplary employees. I've exhausted band 1, band 2, band 3. I just couldn't find that perfect candidate, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean anything. And I think sometimes comparing statistics to shooting baskets, it's a little bit different, right? Shooting basketball, there's physics in play. When you're talking about statistics and humans, there's human error in play sometimes. I'm not saying that nepotism doesn't exist. It does because there's policy for it. I, for one, worked on some of these policies, not for the city, but for the county. That was part of my project when I was at USC in, doing executive leadership training. So I understand where you're coming from, and I also understand what it creates when somebody at some point witnesses nepotism. It's not a good feeling. I understand that. Therefore, just to kind of piggyback on Commissioner Reen's comments, I think the information is great, but there needs to be more, right? That requires the commission to review and look into.
I truly appreciate that. And by the way, I want to emphasize that I didn't say anything disparaging or implied that there was anything disparaging concerning the qualifications of the people who are exercising those jobs. I was referring to the fairness and the probability of getting hired vis-a-vis another similarly qualified individual. And to make that distinction, and I think just one very short observation, if you approach it from a probabilistic statistics, you may find that it would guide you through the process of identifying whether something needs correction in the process. And I'll send you the information. Thank you very much.
Wait, I have one more comment.
Yes.
I just want to remind the commission that this is not an agendized item, and our discussion needs to be very brief.
Okay, one more, very brief. I think looking at statistics and comparing statistics with each other, and then accusing a department or a city of not giving honest responses is, it's unfair, and making a public statement in a televised forum. I do wish that if anyone accuses anyone of being deceptive or lying or falsifying information, that they would have facts. That's really important to me. So I would just ask that if in the future there is such a comment, that it be supplied by facts, not comparisons. I know that I personally work with a lot of cities to respond to Public Records Act requests, and I know that they have legal obligations, they have a lot of duties, ethical duties, and so I wouldn't presume immediately that people are lying when the facts don't match our assumptions. I just wanted to make that comment.
I told Mr. Hatamian that I will provide you with the data. I believe that Bayesian statistics is a good method to apply it, and it will help you through the process. Thank you much.
Thank you. Next item, please, or next speaker.
Yes, we have Mr. Edgman Hakobian.
Good evening, commissioners. I want to echo what Mr. Herbert Milano said, and I want to add this is a risk of nepotism. As an advocate or as a resident, there's a limited amount of information that a resident can get to bring a number to your attention. I think it's your prerogative to look at that number, see if it's reasonable, and then ask the staff to generate an accurate report, and that would clarify any misunderstanding or bring forward any finding that may help our city perform better. So I would appreciate you if you could consider either agendize it or asking the HR department to create a report by department, and then all the concerns that you mentioned earlier, what was the process that they went through to hire these individuals. I think it would help everyone, and it would strengthen our city. I have two more issues that I want to bring to your attention. I have noticed at some of our committees, the city attorney's office is limiting discussion and conversation, and at some point also misrepresenting information in order to limit the scope of the conversations. You're all volunteers, and people take time out of their life to attend these committees and bring issues forward. And most of the time, it gets immediately shut down by the city attorney's office. And actually, Lucy Vartanian, I've seen her do this several times at the audit committee. I've seen Mike Garcia do that at the charter review committee. Based off of that, I've also made that observation that committee members are not trained properly. And that's, again, it's the job of the city attorney's office to train these committee members. I've seen committee members not being able to make an amendment. I've seen committee members not being able to offer a motion or getting confused on the motions that they voted on. They've been confused the way they voted on the motion. These are very, I understand that for a new commissioner or anyone getting into this type of forums to make an amendment, it's difficult. But I think it's clear that the training is lacking, and I've seen that several times, especially at the audit committee, where we have very important financial documents. Just last week, 300 pages of financial documents were passed in 30 minutes. 17 minutes of the meeting was used by a staff member to just say why we are doing this audit. 5 minutes of the meeting was used by a consultant to say we have done the audit and highlight few things. 5 questions were asked. All the answers to the questions were clearly in the report. And then the report was approved without any serious amount of questioning or probing. Our city has financial problems, and I think a committee like an audit committee would benefit from standard etiquettes for the commissioners, high level of training for the committee members to know how they can make amendments and run meetings, and most importantly, it's sad to say, putting guardrails on the city attorney's office and the officers that are attending the committees so they can accommodate the meeting, they can help people make better decisions, not to kind of force them into a path and force them into rubber stamping certain issues. I understand some of you may feel uncomfortable with the characterization of my comments and the activities of the city's attorney's office, but I can tell you, if you look at the charter review committee or the audit committee, you will clearly hear the frustration from the public and the committee members. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Hakopian. I don't know if any commissioners have any comments or concerns. I see none. I do have one single comment, just for what it's worth. Blanket allegations are very difficult to address. That's why specificity is required. That's why we asked Mr. Milano for additional information. I don't think financial issues are within our jurisdiction. And I can also tell you that I've watched the Charter Review Committee meetings online. Sometimes there's a benefit in having lay folks, lay meaning somebody who's not very familiar with the subject matter, be present, because they're bringing perspective that people in the room wouldn't have. If I comprise my teams where I work only based on the knowledge base that I have, I will not gain any knowledge from outside. So, and having watched those charter review committee meetings, I want to give kudos to Ms. Adams and Ms. Varpetian because there's a lot of educational process there. They are really informing the members on our internal HR processes, and HR is a very difficult area. It's very intricate, and so I feel like they try their best to teach people who are not familiar with the subject matter, in order for those people who are present to chime in and provide feedback. So those are the comments that I want to make. I do want to thank you for coming up forward and presenting information to us. But just know that blanket allegations are very difficult to address. If there are any allegations of any type of misconduct or anything like that, it needs to be specific and it can be forwarded to HR for them to look into. I can tell you that if you have issues with city attorneys specifically, I know in LA County, they have an Office of Inspector General who reviews work within all departments to ensure that things are up in order, so to speak. That's something that you can bring up to City Council. That is not within our jurisdiction if you wish the city to have such oversight. Thank you for coming. Next item, please.
Recruitment and examination report.
Ms. Adams.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. This is the regular recruitment and examination status report, which represents the current recruitments in process and that our team is working on. You'll notice that our team has 33 open recruitments, and the report identifies the division of work and the various stages of the examination and selection process. If the commission has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, this is a note and file item.
Any questions? I see none. Thank you, Ms. Adams. Next item, please.
Eligible list established.
Ms. Adams.
Yes, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. The subject before you is the regular report that includes all of the eligible lists that were recently established since our last meeting in November. The report includes the total number of applications, the number of individuals that advanced through the various stages of the process. Since our last meeting, we've had a total of 9 lists established. 7 were open to the public, and 2 were given on a promotional basis. This is a note and file item. However, if the commission has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I see that the city received 607 applications for a station electrician operator apprentice. The amount of work and logistics required to go through that, I can't even imagine. And the city was able to find a total of 26 applicants to put on the eligibility list. It just shows how hard it is to find qualified personnel. And I just wanted to make a comment that I do observe that, and I appreciate all the work that goes into it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I see none. Next item, please.
Job bulletin for approval, Fire Battalion Chief.
Thank you. Ms. Adams.
Yes, Mr. Chair and members of the commission, before you is the job bulletin for Fire Battalion Chief. As you are aware, because this is a sworn safety promotional position, Civil Service Rule 4, Section 3C requires that the commission review and approve the bulletin before it is posted. The job bulletin fully aligns with the existing approved class specification for Fire Battalion Chief. Our last recruitment occurred in January 2025. However, the eligible list from that process has now been exhausted, which is why a new recruitment is required. The examination process for this upcoming recruitment will mirror the components used in the previous battalion chief process, and HR will coordinate with fire management to finalize the specific examination dates. We plan to post the bulletin on December 15th, 2025, and have it remain open through January 9th, 2026. Both the Glendale Firefighters Association and the Glendale Management Association were given an opportunity to review the bulletin, and no concerns were raised prior to this agenda being posted. Therefore, we do respectfully request that the commission approve the Fire Battalion Chief Job Bulletin as presented. We have our HR analyst here, Deanne Snorrell, along with Deputy Fire Chief Andrew Gano, and they will be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. Do we have any questions?
I was wondering if the period of time that it's going to be posted is sufficient, because it does go straight into the holidays. Do you think that's enough time, Ms. Adams, to post it and find eligible people interested enough?
I do. Normally, we would keep the job bulletin open for 2 weeks. We've extended it a little bit longer than that. This is a promotional opportunity. Generally speaking, our candidates within our service know of this opportunity becoming available for their consideration.
Thank you. Okay.
May I please have a representative from the fire department come to the podium? Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioner, members of the commission. Andrew Gano, Deputy Fire Chief.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Gano. I have a question in regards to the minimum requirements, and I know this is likely, it's been approved by this commission or members who are currently on this commission, but because likely this went through last year of December. But I have a question. When you're looking at the minimum requirements, or the hiring authority is looking at the minimum requirements of 3 years experience as a fire captain or a fire captain paramedic, what other minimum oversight do you look for in specific programs like finance, field services, or any other areas that you folks look for as a minimum?
When it comes to finance or any, I mean, they got to have some knowledge of the budget. That's part of one of the, required, not required, but suggested requirements.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that requires anybody to have any financial or any other services for this bulletin. It's strictly just being a fire captain. And obviously, when they're a fire captain, they had to have some prerequisites within the fire department in order to take the captain's test. So they became a captain with those prerequisites. And the only prerequisite are the ones that you see here in the job bulletin.
Thank you, Mr. Gano. Any other questions? I see none. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve as requested.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you very much. Can we please get a roll call?
Yes. Commissioner McGrabian,
Yes.
Commissioner Jihanian,
Yes.
Commissioner Reen,
Yes.
Commissioner Naravian. Yes. Chair Hatamian.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Kwan. May I please get the next item?
Yes. Class specification for approval, Police Services Officer Trainee. And Mr. Chair, members of the commission, please note a revised copy of the class specification was placed on the desk prior to your arrival.
Thank you for that, Mr. Kwan. Ms. Adams?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Before you is the new class specification for the Police Services Officer Trainee position within the Glendale Police Department. This classification is designed to support the department's operational needs and was also included in last night's City Council agenda to create the position. The purpose of establishing the trainee classification is to strengthen the department's overall recruitment efforts, particularly in light of current vacancies in key support areas such as the front desk, parking enforcement, and the Investigative Services Division. The trainee role will give the department the ability to bring candidates in earlier, provide structured training, and develop them into highly capable police services officers. The minimum qualification for the trainee position is aligned with those of the full police services officer classification so that we maintain a strong standard of candidate quality. The distinction is that the trainees will work under close supervision while learning the specific functions of their assigned units. This approach will allow for a full year of on-the-job development before the individual is promoted into the classified police services officer role upon successful completion of the training period. We have met with the Glendale City Employees Association about this classification, and at the time of this posting, they have not raised any concerns. Additionally, an FLSA review has been completed to ensure the correct designation for this position. In the agenda packet, we had mistakenly listed the wrong class code. So placed at your desk is the class specification with the correct code, which is 3339. That is what should be correct. With that, staff respectfully recommends approval of the Police Services Officer Trainee Class Specification as submitted. We have Russ Kwan here from HR, along with our police captain, Jason Ross, and they are happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. Any questions?
I do have one question. I believe it's of Captain Ross.
Good evening,
Good
esteemed
evening,
members of the
Captain.
commission.
My question is, and I don't see it here, and maybe I'm just not reading carefully, but I couldn't find anything about whether this position, the position starts after finishing the academy and graduating from the academy.
So this is for a civilian or professional staff position, the police services officer.
Okay.
So there is no police academy for them. However, based on the variety of assignments that PSOs can fill, the training is vastly different. And so from parking enforcement to our investigative services division, there's a high level of specialized training that takes place depending on which role the PSO applicant is going to be filling. And then that position determines the amount of specialized training and whether that occurs in-house or through post-certified classes or other organizations that provide training to help them obtain the job skills.
Should we then add that this is a civilian position, non-sworn, or use the word non-sworn because it was confusing to read?
I don't know that that's required. We've had the job class for quite some time, just as you noted in a different recruitment. We do have a plethora of people who do apply for this role because the minimum qualification is a high school diploma.
So they don't see an academy graduation requirement or?
No.
Is this a sworn position?
That's what I was
Because they
asking.
gave out parking tickets?
No,
They can't give out parking tickets.
they can give out parking tickets. You do not need to be a sworn peace officer to issue parking citations.
I think because there's confusion around the issue of whether this classification is going to be sworn or civilian, and because within the title classification you have the word police, it might be, I mean, just for a layperson, and we're commissioners up here, right? We should know this stuff. It might be beneficial to maybe say it's a non-sworn position. It might even open up your pool of applicants.
I think so. I represent the sheriff's department and hundreds of police departments up and down the state, and I can't tell. I should know, and I can't tell whether this is sworn or not.
If I could address that, we currently have police services officers throughout our building and have hired and run recruitments for them. I used to supervise our Professional Standards Bureau, which oversaw hiring. I can tell you, I don't know that we ever encountered an applicant who applied thinking that it was a sworn position.
I think applicant may refrain from applying because they think it's sworn. That's the problem. I think if we use the word civilian position or non-sworn, could really help prevent some confusion. I understand and respect Ms. Adams's opinion that we don't need to, but if even one person refrains from applying because they think this is sworn, then that's a disservice to them and the city.
Sure, and we may be able to fix that. And forgive me for trying to insert myself perhaps into HR processes where I don't belong. Our job listings are listed on our website, governmentjobs.com, which is run by NeoGov. And we do have control in-house with HR personnel in those job listings to actually list out what we request is specified on there. And, you know, it would not be difficult, I don't think, to add in there that this is a non-sworn position.
Exactly.
Very quickly in the summary information that comes up when that job posting is pulled up in a search.
That would really help, I think.
Yeah, I think that would be beneficial. I apologize. Just because I think with the background investigation, I think when some people may not pass sworn backgrounds, and sometimes civilian backgrounds are not as invasive, right? And so they may want to apply. Now, whether they'll pass or not, whatever Glendale standards are, right? At least you have a bigger pool to choose from, so.
My comment is, it's my understanding from reading this that this trainee position is expected to transform into a police officer in our city, which will be a sworn position. It's not a trainee position?
It is a training position, but it's not promoting it to sworn.
It's promoting into the role of police service officer.
Oh, okay, so it could be court service. It's never going to promote to anything
It's
that's
not-
sworn. It's a different.
Correct.
It's a different line of
Yeah,
promotion.
it's a
and-
stepping stone to a full-time position of police services officer.
Oh, okay.
It's the word services. It's not police officer, it's police service officer. That's the
got it.
distinction.
Where would you like to add that language?
So
I think when it says job description, it says this trainee classification. It could be this non-sworn trainee classification. Put it right up front and there's no confusion at all.
we can do that.
Thank you for that. Any other questions?
I do. I have a question on the order of operations here. I know tonight we're going to consider a resolution considering designating this as an unclassified position versus a classified position.
Right.
Would we have to resolve that before we approve this job specification?
No, because with the class specification, what you are approving are the minimum qualifications, the essential functions, and skills and abilities for the job. The next item, we will get into whether it should be classified or unclassified.
Got it.
So this is the right order.
Okay.
I mean, I just to weigh in, just to debate the law on this, I would take a different position, which is that we do have to, that the Civil Service Commission has no business under the charter making a classification unless the position is within the classification service. But my feeling is that it is within the classification service, and we can address that next thing as it comes up in our unique way that we do it. But that's just not to be contrary, but I think it's slightly different.
Thank you for those comments. Any other questions? I do have just two questions. One of them is, will this classification supervise any cadets or volunteers in any shape, manner, or form?
No, these positions typically, especially this position is a trainee position. This is absolutely entry level. Even the full-time classification of police services officer does not typically involve any direct supervision. There are, on occasion, cadets, volunteers that may be assigned to assist somebody in a police services officer role, in which case there will be some light supervision taking place there. Our cadets and our volunteers are very versatile, and they get employed in a number of ways throughout the building, and so they could be very well tasked to assist a PSO in completing their duties or something along those lines.
Thank you for that. I did see, I would say about 5 or 6 of them this past weekend at the Montrose Christmas Parade, and they did a fantastic job. So
Yeah.
kudos to them. The other question I had was regarding the minimum requirements. This is on page, well, the amendment didn't really give us a page number. It would be on the reverse page, on the second page, where it says experience. It's under the heading of minimum requirements. But then for experience working in public safety agency, it says desirable. Is that a minimum requirement where they need to have that as a requirement, or is it a desirable?
It's desirable. the minimum qualification is a high school diploma. And in this training capacity, the 1 year working under the trainer, it's on-the-job training for everything.
Okay, and then so valid California driver's license, I'm assuming that's a minimum requirement? Or is that a,
That is a minimum requirement, the California Class C driver's license, yes.
It doesn't say the word desirable, so then it's required.
okay, I was just asking because the heading, I guess maybe the heading threw me off on the previous page, because it's listed on the minimum requirements. Okay, so long as it's gonna be noted so the applicants know that's just merely a desirable.
The experience portion is desirable.
But we
yes.
don't do where, and I may have asked this question before in previous examinations, we don't have a section within our job bulletins where it's the minimum requirement, which is essentially what's required in order for them to be considered, and then another section that says desirables. Or is
Yes,
it all just intermingled?
we do on the job bulletins, but what you're looking at here is the class specification.
Got it. So on the job bulletins, this will be broken down.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you so much. Any other questions? I see none. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve as stated with an amendment to add the word non-dash sworn after the word this, or between the word this and the word trainee in the job description.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Can I please get a roll call?
Commissioner McGrabian,
Yes.
Commissioner Jihanian,
Yes.
Commissioner Reen,
Yes.
Commissioner Naravian,
Yes.
Chair Hatamian.
Yes. Thank you for that. Next item, please, Mr. Kwan.
Adoption of resolution, report on unclassified status proposal for police services officer trainee.
Thank
And
you.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, a revised copy of this resolution was also provided to you on your desk as well.
Thank you for that.
And just from a process perspective, this is a hearing, so we would now open up the hearing. You carry on exactly the same way, and then we close the hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Farpetian. Ms. Adams?
Mr. Chair, are you opening the hearing?
Yes, we are.
Very good, thank you. We are presenting the proposal to recruit the new Police Services Officer Trainee classification on an unclassified basis and to request the adoption of the corresponding resolution following this public hearing. This new trainee classification was included on the December 9, 2025 City Council agenda and is intended to serve as the entry-level role for candidates during their first year of training. After completing that year successfully, trainees will be promoted into the classified police services officer position where they will then serve a one-year probationary period. The police department is currently facing 7 vacancies in this general support role. While interest in Glendale remains high, our selection process is highly competitive. Many applicants do not make it through all stages of the testing, and even among those who do, we often lose candidates during the background process, sometimes because they are applying to multiple agencies at the same time and accept offers elsewhere. As the commission know, when we recruit for a police services officer under a classified process, we must follow the rule of 3. While the rule of 3 is an important merit-based framework, it does significantly slow down the process and the police department's ability to process large numbers of candidates. Background investigations are lengthy, they are resource-intensive, and they limit the department's and we limit the department to only 3 candidates at a time. It has made it more difficult to hire quickly enough to remain competitive with our neighboring agencies. Moving this position into unclassified status will allow the police department to contact and consider all candidates who make it onto the eligible list, and to do so in a much more timely way. The selection process itself will remain rigorous. Applicants will still be required to complete the same testing, background investigation, medical examination as a police services officer candidate. The only change is the ability to expedite hiring so that we do not lose qualified candidates to other agencies. Once hired, individuals will complete their 1 year of training as a trainee and then be promoted to the classified police services officer position, at which point civil service protections trigger and the probationary period will apply. Throughout this entire process, Human Resources will provide oversight to ensure that the eligibility list is appropriately used and in accordance with standard personnel practices. Candidates who are unsuccessful at any stage will continue to retain their right to appeal to the Chief Human Resources Officer. The Glendale City Employees Association has reviewed this proposal and has not expressed any concerns. For these reasons, we do respectfully recommend that the Commission approve the proposal to classify the Police Services Officer trainee position as unclassified and adopt the accompanying resolution. Mr. Kwan, do we have any cards or speakers on this item?
We do not have any cards, and we do not have any calls.
Okay, Mr. Chair, we have Russ Kwan here. We also have our police captain, Jason Ross, and they are happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. Any questions from my fellow commissioners? I do have then a couple of questions. Is there gonna be a banding process, meaning candidates will be banded if you pull an examination on this?
No, they will not be banded. We do not have a banding system as we sit here today in the city of Glendale.
Okay.
We only have the rule of 3.
And if applicants apply, are they just listed and the hiring authority just simply calls? How do they determine who they call?
They
For
will
an-
call everyone who applies and who is interested and begin the background investigation process simultaneously. For those who make it through that process, then whoever gets on the other side of that will be interviewed. And we have 7 vacancies now. The top 7, the best top 7 will be selected for the trainee role.
This is how it currently stands, or this is if we approve this motion?
If you approve this
Gotcha.
motion.
So how is it currently? That's my question. How does it stand currently?
This is a brand-new class approved last night. So currently, there would be a selection process. The applicants would each get a different score. No 2 persons can have the same score. The top 3 are certified to the police department. The police department will review those top 3 and begin their background investigation process. Until they have exhausted that process on those 3, they will not be given any other names.
Very good. So although Glendale may not have quote-unquote a banding process, they do band applicants as it stands based on their score as they go through the examination process. And the hiring authority then makes a decision based on those scores to contact the top 3 and then move down the list, so to speak, if they don't make a selection of those 3. Is that correct?
In unclassified, but in classified, no, you get 3, solely 3 people.
Okay. So then, go ahead.
I'm sorry, so if those 3 people don't pan out, can you go to the other people, or do you have to repost the jobs posting?
If there are more than 3 on the list, once one falls off, you can get 1 other name. You can only have 3 names certified at any given time.
So ultimately, what it does, it creates an additional step for the hiring authority, because what they have to do is just go through an objective process of exhausting a list based on candidates' examination scores.
3 of them, yes.
3 of them. Did you have any questions?
Ms. Adams, so in this instance where we have maybe 6 openings, we get, am I right that we get, on the rule of 3, we're going to get 3 initially plus 1 more for each of those additional 6 open positions?
If the department certifies all the vacancies at the same time, right?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Russ Kwan, Senior Human Resources Analyst, that is correct. They would get essentially 3 per vacancy, and the only time that the department would get additional names would be if an individual declines the job offer or if they fail the background investigation.
If I may follow up, Mr. Chair. So in this, the investigative process for sworn police officers is, well, this isn't sworn, but for this position is significant and expensive. Would that be done, will they go through HR and fill out application forms and then they have to pass that first hurdle? Then when the list is certified to the police department, is that when the investigation is done or prior to that?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, the background investigation would be done after the individuals are placed on the eligible list, and at that point, the department can go ahead and make contact with the individuals on the list and assign them to a background investigation if they choose.
Any other questions?
Question. Well, first of all, I recognize how difficult it is to get police officers through this process right now and how competitive, how Glendale is competing with agencies around the state to get top-notch police officers. So I'd hate for red tape to get in the way of some of that recruitment, and not necessarily for police officers, but for this trainee position. But my question is, how often do we run into this problem with the rule of 3? Is this like a one-off? Or should we be looking at revising the rule of 3 instead of, having these situations where we need to change the, designation from classified to unclassified?
In my professional opinion, we should be revising the rule of 3 to at least be the rule of 3 whole scores or some banding method so that the hiring manager can consider a larger candidate pool.
Okay.
Can we agendize that? Do we have jurisdiction?
No.
Just in the interest of time, that is a matter that is being considered by the Charter Committee. It is a rule that is embedded in the charter. In fact, there's a meeting about it tomorrow, I think in the same room. If you're interested, you can attend. You're welcome to participate. But we cannot agendize it or consider any changes to it. It goes to the vote of the people in order to change that rule. And I just want to be clear, I know that we've had a lot of confusion around the title. This is not a sworn position.
Right.
And the sworn positions are in fact going through the rule of 3 process. This is essentially a very entry-level position with a high school diploma. So I just want to be sure we're talking about still preserving the process of the rule of 3, except in this case, given the challenges the police department is facing with regard to hiring, it is somewhat of an exception that is being requested. And that's why the charter requires that there be a 4/5 vote, which is different than most other things, which just require a majority vote.
Yep, I recognize that point as I was speaking, and I tried to clarify. One more question. So in the hiring process, will there be some kind of criteria that all of the candidates go through that you'll be asking all the candidates the same questions? Will that change? I just want to make sure that there's like a standard process that goes into the hiring process.
Oh, yes, there will definitely be a selection process that all of the candidates will have to follow and adhere to. And Human Resources will collaborate with the police department to confirm what the rubric looks like, the questions that are asked, and the scoring methodology.
Okay. And do you think this is something that we need to keep open, or should we sunset it at a certain point, or should this be kind of like an open change of the classification or the designation?
Well, if you notice I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say that your most recent version, because I think your packet didn't reflect this, the most recent version that was being handed to you as you were sitting down did have a 1-year sunset clause in there. So apologize that we didn't point that out to you specifically, but that was a change that was made at the suggestion of Commissioner Ryan.
Oh, got it, okay.
Reen.
But let me follow up with a question, if I may, Mr. Chair. So it says there are 7 vacancies, but now I'm thinking, wait, this is a brand-new position. But when I was looking at it before, I was like, well, this is sort of a continuation of an existing position. Am I right on that? That there was a previous position that has evolved into this trainee position? My point is, how do we, if it's a brand-new position, how do we know we're having trouble filling it so that we should make this important change?
So we have 7 police services officer vacancies.
Okay.
In lieu of filling those, we will be filling them as a trainee. And we've had tremendous challenges filling the 7 full vacancies that we have.
Okay. So if I may, one final thing, which is that it's not a question, I'd just like to make a comment, which is that this agenda item is a good example of why the Charter Review Committee should change the charter and not have any particular rule of recruitment in our city charter. It should be void of that and allow this commission, with the help of HR and the appointing departments, figure out what's the best recruitment procedure for each particular position. Because as it stands now, in order to do this runaround or to evade the rule of 3, we're basically taking this position out of the control of the civil service system. So we're ceding all authority over this position for a period of 1 year, and we shouldn't have to do that. But we also want our police department to function efficiently, and we want them to fill these positions. So it all rests on the City Council and our Charter Review Committee to get rid of this nonsense that's in the charter. That's it. That's my speech.
Thank you, sir. So if I may, I don't know if I'll go that far as to undoing rules, but the only reason I'll say that is just because you need to have a system when you're dealing with large organizations to have an objective process. You know, because we had speakers here who spoke of nepotism, and having worked for large law enforcement agencies before, I can say that human element always exists. I won't label it in any fashion or way, but I can also tell you that entry-level positions in certain organizations are coveted. And the reason why they're coveted is because the candidate is able to get their foot in the door. And once they get their foot in the door, they're able to meet the people there. And once they meet the people there, the supervisors, and they actually do a decent job, they're able to apply to the next level. And then when they apply to the next level, guess what? The person who's interviewing them across the table knows them because they've worked with them. And then you have candidates who've never had that opportunity who are also interviewing for that position. Those of you who, understand what I just said, have worked in large agencies and know that that's a reality. The issue here is that when you're dealing with 7 entry-level positions into a law enforcement agency, and we are going to speak of challenges in the past of not being able to fill this position. But the reality is that although this is a derivative of a previous position, it's still classified as a new position. That's why it's before us. And so we don't know if those same challenges will remain or will not remain. They may or they may not. Let's say likely they may remain. But I would like to hear first more detail about what those challenges were. What is it that Glendale faced? I know we labeled it as challenges, but as somebody who was a cadet before at Pasadena Police Department, we didn't have shortages then. So I don't know what the challenges were, and are there other ways of meeting those challenges without compromising the process that's already in place?
I believe Captain Ross can speak to some of the challenges that the police department has faced. I believe Captain Ross can also cite a few examples where we've created trainee feeder classes for the police department in other areas, and we have found some success.
Thank you. Yes, just to talk about the 2 successes we've had in our organization. We created a trainee position for our dispatchers. Unfortunately, everything has strange titles, so they're PCOs, police communication operators. And we also created a non-classified status for police officer recruit. That was done back in 2011 or something along those lines. And both were the result of two things that we've addressed tonight, and that's the high degree of specialized training that has to take place at the very beginning, but also the hiring process. And when we've hired 60-something police officers in the last 2.5 years. When we have a large group of employees and we're bound, of applicants, and we're bound to only processing the top 3, the speed at which we can operate is directly correlated to the cooperation and the speed at which the applicant provides us with background documentation and completes questionnaires. So we'll send emails and we'll make phone calls and we'll pay visits and we'll do those things, and I'll get it to you tomorrow and I'll upload it into the system next week. Our hands are tied, and eventually we can run into a position where we have someone who's just non-responsive, and we have to disqualify them for that in order to get another name from HR. In the meantime, we've lost weeks. Sometimes we get them uploading those documents and filling out questionnaires, and now we're 3 weeks into the process, and we realize as they've uploaded a background questionnaire that they are absolutely unacceptable for work in law enforcement. Switching this to the non-classified status allows us to take all 20 people that have passed whatever steps we put ahead of them, be it a written test, an oral interview, physical agility, whatever it may be. They've passed all of those things and they get to the background investigation phase. We can send them a link to a software system and allow them to begin uploading their documents and answering questionnaires. What we have found is that very quickly we're able to identify there are people here who they're going to be disqualified, typically in the background process, and we're able to get to it much faster. Under the system with the rule of 3, we'd have to wait until we got one who either withdrew or disqualified or made it all the way through to the hiring process, which is months later, to get another name. And so processing them 3 at a time is incredibly cumbersome, and that, we'd get a year and a half into a list and then get to number 5 on the list or number 6 on the list and call them and, I have been working for Pasadena PD for the last 3 months, or I'm no longer interested, I've moved away. This gives us the ability to take all of the applicants that we think have met those standards, passed those tests, meet those requirements, and get them all to begin uploading that documentation and participating in the background interview investigation process. And then once we get that, we can very quickly say, okay, these 2 top scorers here, this person here has gotten their documentation up. We're going to get them in and sit them down with the background investigator and process them. And as soon as we can get that stuff in and DQ them, we're on to the next person. And we're not doing just 3 at a time. We can take this process and sit and look at the 20 applicants in a software interface, see them all, and see red flags and scores that we've assigned to them based on how they've answered questions about their background. It's worked tremendously for our dispatchers. These are positions that we frequently have. We have a large number of dispatchers. We have a large number of police officers. When we handle big batches of applicants and we have a lot of positions to fill, this is where that ability to process multiple people at a time and not be bound to that rule of 3 is critical. The 7 PSO vacancies that we speak of now is because we're fortifying our traffic and specifically our parking enforcement division. But we also have other positions in the department where vacancies may arise from, retirements or other things. This gives us the ability to take, 20 people that pass the process, and we may out of those 20, we may end up with 4, but that's processing all 20 at a time. And if we get exhausted down to 4 and we hire 4, we can run another recruitment, start the testing all over again, and get a fresh batch of 20 and start looking through those people. When we're doing it 3 at a time, it can drag on to a year, year and a half, sometimes 2 years before we've made it 10 people deep into the list. And these vacancies will exist. And our department and having a conversation with the GCEA, the burden that's shouldered by employees of having vacant positions on either side of them is a concern. And so the quicker we can process these people and get them into the pipeline, the sooner we can alleviate the workload in some of these areas and get to the direction we need to get to. And by doing this, it enables us to do it. It's worked well for police officers. It's worked well for dispatchers. We hope potentially in the future to use it with our jailers based on openings. And it comes hand in hand with the custody position, the trainee position, because it also gives us a larger window by which to get them trained and up to speed and get them the job skills they need before we begin an actual 1-year evaluation period of their performance.
Thank you for that. There was some mention about being comparable to neighboring agencies if we were to approve this process. Are you aware of which neighboring agencies currently have it based on this request?
The non-classified status for
Entry level,
a trainee position, I don't know.
don't know.
I don't.
Ms. Adams, would you happen to know, or Mr. Kwan?
Unfortunately, I do not know.
Okay. So if you have 7 candidates and you're provided a list of, let's say, I know the DQ rate, but let's say you provided a list of 20 candidates and 10 of them all pass through your background, but the rule of 3 does not apply, right? You have 10 candidates, they all pass background. How would you evaluate to see which 7 get the position?
That's a really good question. Typically, there's going to be an order to things, and as I just described, the respondent and the speed at which they're uploading those documents and responding to us, the speed at which we can get through their background, all of those things factor in. We don't run people through a background and then wait to see how many of them made it through backgrounds, because odds are people aren't going to make it through backgrounds. So some people are able to get through the background process quicker. They're uploading documents, they're coming in for interviews, they're doing those things, and we're processing them as fast as we possibly can. Other people are slower to respond. They take a while to go get the birth certificate or, the documents that we need on a foreclosure or something, right? The background process can be very long depending on the applicant. So we've never encountered a situation, and we never will, where they all finish backgrounds at the same time and we're forced to look and evaluate them at that time based on some criteria. We take them as they pass the background process and plug them right into the organization.
Very good. And you spoke of speed of things and timeliness and due dates, right? Do you present due dates as to when these documents have to be presented? Because I know when I went through the sheriff's background, luckily I passed it, there's a timeline.
Sure.
It's not indefinite. And do you have a modified background for the civilian position versus a sworn?
So our backgrounds are very similar. We have 2 categories that post, the state board that governs the police departments and whatever else comes and audits us on, but we use basically the same format. There are going to be some minor exceptions here and there. If we're hiring for a position that doesn't involve operating motor vehicles, perhaps we may be a little more accepting of a speeding ticket in recent history or something along those lines. But for most areas, the background process is going to be very similar. We're looking for character, financial responsibility, maturity, those things. And that all gets included, civilian or not, because these people are working in our building. They're exposed to police investigations and sensitive information, and so they're a very stringent background. And I would venture to say they're identical to, if not better than, backgrounds that other agencies put sworn police officers through. We're very picky about who makes it through that. But I'm sorry, the first part of that question, I missed it.
As far as putting a timeline
Oh, yes. Yeah,
on the documents that need to be submitted.
we're dealing with humans. We get people who are sick, who are dealing with parents, who are going through jobs. We get people that don't live in the area. And so if they have a very good reason for not being responsive to something that we need, sometimes we'll say, okay, I'll give you another week to get us that document. Or they bring in a document, it's not the exact document we need for post standards. Hey, I'll give you another week. But there are times where we draw the line and say, we're going to move on from this person because it's just taking far too long. Reapply when you're ready to get us the information, the documents that we need for this background process, because we also don't want to tie up a background investigator with pestering an applicant. If they don't want to work here and they're slow to respond on those things, for most positions, we have plenty of people in the pipeline that would like to work here that are going to get us those documents.
Thank you. And one final question, does this position require a polygraph?
The
In the
police
background?
officer, that's a very good question. No, I don't believe, that's a really good question. I wasn't prepared for that. I'd have
I
to.
knew I would stump you with something.
Yeah, I would have to get back to you on that. I believe right now, current practice is every full-time employee is receiving a polygraph as part of their background investigation.
Thank you for that.
I could say that confidently, yes.
All right, okay. Ms. Adams, historically, have we done this before? I like the fact that there is a sunset clause, but historically, I would feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that other agencies within the county, within the city have done this, and whether it's been successful where we unclassify a position to meet the needs of the department.
Mr. Kwan, did you give me 2 examples earlier today?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, one example of an unclassified position would be the fire communications operator trainee. That position was unclassified in March of 2025. And as Captain Ross stated, we have two two positions within the police department, police communications operator trainee, as well as police officer recruit, which were unclassified. As well as some of our our apprentice positions within Glendale Water and Power are unclassified as well.
And in those instances, have you received, to your knowledge, any grievances from any candidates saying, I was DQ'd through the process, or somebody got hired because they know someone, or any of that?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, we do, I mean, the only times I'm aware of receiving an appeal, if you will, would be from somebody who would be disqualified from, let's say, a police department background investigation. The investigation or the decision to disqualify would then be appealable to our Chief Human Resources Officer instead of the Civil Service Commission.
Can I comment? I'm not so sure of that, because if we're taking them out of civil service, then they don't have any property rights. They don't go through our system. How can they make an appeal or go through any of our civil service rules when it's not a classified position?
They're appealing to me. They're not coming to the Civil Service Commission. And the appeals that I have seen in my 3 years have all been due to substance abuse of some type, not passing the medical exam.
Thank you.
One other point is, I was questioning those dates because I was here in March of 2025, and I don't remember going through this process before where we took a classified position and said they're exempt from classification for a period of time. Was that really March of 2025?
Yes, it was.
It could have been approved. Was it approved in March of 2025, or was that like something that was unclassified prior to our time, and you guys ran an exam in
I
March
must have
of
been on
2025?
vacation.
It was approved in March of 2025.
Any other questions? I see none. Oh, I do have one.
Just one comment. As I said earlier, I totally understand why we're doing this. I know we're competing against other agencies and even the private sector. It's really a shame that some kind of outdated rule, would prevent us from recruiting, some outstanding candidates if we lose them to other agencies. So I really hope that the Charter Review Committee takes this really seriously when they're revising these rules to make sure that we don't run into these problems in the future.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns? I see none. Do I have a motion?
We're going to close the public hearing.
Let's close the public hearing. So with that, I'll close the public hearing. No, thank you, Lucy. All right, do we have a motion now?
Motion would be to adopt the resolution that is before you.
Yes.
I would move that we adopt the resolution as amended by Ms. Vartanian prior to the meeting. Varpetian. Pardon me.
Okay.
And by the way, I think you're a great attorney, and I think you do wonderful service for our commission all the time.
Thank you.
And so thank you, and I really appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody else does as well.
Thank you.
So may we adopt the amendment, the resolution as amended?
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Can I get a roll call?
Commissioner McGrabian,
Yes.
Commissioner Jihanian,
Yes.
Commissioner Reen,
Yes.
Commissioner Naravian,
Yes.
Chair Hatamian.
Yes. Next item, please.
Reports and information, employee job performance evaluations, past due aging report, and acting assignment extension report.
Ms. Adams, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair and members of the commission, before you are two informational reports. The first on performance evaluation and the return status for the City of Glendale employees. As you can see, the response rate remains very good, and there are no evaluations on the second notice list. The second informational report is the temporary assignment extensions report covering the period from October through November 2025. There is one temporary assignment included in this month's report. This report reflects the extension of the acting construction services manager assignment for Mr. Andre Akmalian. Mr. Akmalian stepped into this acting role following the resignation of the permanent construction services manager in August 2025. He was selected because of his strong familiarity with the work of the section and his subject matter expertise in inspection and permitting, which allowed for continuity of operations during the vacancy. I might add that prior to the prior incumbent leaving the organization, that person had been on leave for quite some time prior to that. The Public Works Department requested an extension for his acting assignment while the recruitment for the permanent position continues. During this temporary appointment, the employee is receiving an 11% salary increase, consistent with the department's request. And as a reminder, these temporary assignment extensions are brought to the commission because they are processed and approved through the Human Resources Information System, which serves as the city's official system of record for all employee transactions. This is a note and file item, and no action is required. However, if the commission has any questions, either Russ Kwan or myself would be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
I do have a question about the 11% increase. The selection was made because Mr. Agamalian had experience in the acting position, but it seems like the position he was in was paying him so much less. So I'm just wondering, how did he manage to have the experience of that very high level manager position that warranted 11% of an increase from his salary?
So when the department put through its request and asked for 11%, they were asking based upon previous conversations with the city that the compaction would not be less than 10% from your highest paid subordinate to the next level up. So now, rather than just doing the math and adding on 10%, what the department did is they looked at our salary schedule. Our salary schedule is inconsistent in some areas, so it turned out to be 11% in the math, and they just looked at the salary schedule and looked at the top step for the next highest job classification. Mr. Agamalian did have an opportunity to gain some experience performing the roles before moving into an acting role because the prior person had been on a leave for some time. So we did not run a recruitment. We did not know at the time that the person was going to leave our organization. We thought that they may return, and so that allowed him some time to gain some experience under the leadership of the manager to whom he reports.
Did he do that without a step-up increase in any way before the August date? When did the 11% start?
The original start date was June 1st, 2025. I don't know the answer to whether or not there was any period of time where he wasn't receiving it. I don't know the answer to that.
Any other questions or comments? Next item, please.
Civil Service Commission staff comments.
I do have one comment.
I'd like to make a comment. I heard some disparaging comments during the comment section that were so off-putting. I couldn't find the words to express myself, so I needed to sit with them for about an hour and 23 minutes. And now I am able to express myself, and I feel that it is important that I do so. I don't believe I can walk out that door and feel good about myself not expressing myself. The disparaging comments were made about the city attorney, Ms. Varpetian, and using the wrong last name, to be exact. And the disparaging comments were that Ms. Varpetian, that caused me to make this comment, was that she makes comments at hearings and to confused commissioners or attendees who may not know the law, and so she forces them to do things that the commenter believed was not legal or ethical. I cannot speak to any other commissions because I have not attended them, but I have attended this one for quite some time, and I can say that everyone on this commission, all of the commissioners have law degrees. We are highly qualified, or except one who is very, very highly educated and intelligent enough to be able to know when someone is misguiding them. And I personally have never seen any effort or opportunity for Ms. Farpetian to do the things that she was accused of publicly. Today, lots of public accusations are being made. And I just wanted to say that as a professional who comes to work and does her best every day, and this is my voluntary work, I also have a personal job. I think that if someone's going to make accusations leading to our ethical obligations or violating law, they better have some facts. And I didn't hear any facts. And in fact, I have seen the opposite. I have seen our city attorney giving guided advice that has assisted me and the commission for the period of time that I've been here. And I just wanted to counter the accusations with my personal experience because my experience is based on fact.
I agree with everything Commissioner McGravian just said. Absolutely true. We are so grateful and so blessed to have you with us here.
It's a pleasure to work with you.
Any other questions or comments?
I have one comment.
Ms. Adams?
At our last Civil Service Commission meeting, Commissioner Jihanian asked staff about the practice on beginning the meeting with the flag salute. So I did have an opportunity to check in with the city manager's office on that and learned that it is not a requirement of commissions or committees. Having said that, if the Civil Service Commission asks to have the flag salute agendized, staff can do that.
Thank you for that, Ms. Adams. Absolutely, I think we should agendize it. I think that's a great idea. I think that's something that I would love to do. So that's something we can agendize. But I do want to also piggyback on on Commissioner McGravian's comments in regards to our council. Yeah, I didn't know what to say either. Ms. Farpetian is a class act, not only in this commission, but in the community. So I want to thank you for your service, but I also understand as government employees, we get all kinds of stuff thrown at us at times, sometimes in our email box, sometimes in public forum. And I'm sure, she'll brush that off. In regards to the charter and changes and, wanting to do away with rules and all that good stuff, I'm kind of against that. I just want to put that out there for the charter who's reviewing this. I do think that the rule of 3 is kind of restrictive, but you can go with the rule of 5. And that's something that's used across the board. It's 2 additional candidates. That goes to the hiring authority. It gives them a lot more leverage than a rule of 3. But you still have parameters in place to ensure that, everybody's being vetted thoroughly. The reason why you have these rules is because we're a governmental agency and we're dealing with taxpayer funds. There's due process. All candidates have to have that opportunity to get fully vetted. If in my hiring processes, if I get 5 candidates, I need to vet them all before I go to the next 5. And I need to provide justification as to why I did not select those 5. But if I get rid of the rules and give a list to the hiring authority, it gives them the ability to kind of go down the list and say, oh, I know that guy. All right, so let me just go down. And it kind of creates issues where you are giving wind to the other side to come in and say, you've gotten rid of a process. There was a process in place for that reason, and you don't want to do that. What you want to do is, for our speakers that came in and spoke today, again, blanket allegations are very difficult to address. However, human errors do occur in the hiring processes. What we want to do as a city is to have parameters in place, or as a commission to say, yes, those things do happen. However, we have these objective processes in place to ensure that we can avoid those situations. In this instance, what we approved tonight was to put our police department in equal footing with agencies that are near us, to give them the opportunity to hire. However, entry-level positions, if you are career-minded, to be a police officer or a firefighter, entry-level is the way in for those who are thinking about applying, because you get to meet the folks that are working there, they get to know you, they get to know your work ethics, and then so when that police officer position comes up and you apply for it, the person who's interviewing you is gonna know you, just because you worked for the agency. So I want to encourage people from applying, but at the same time, I want to be able to provide the tools to the police department to be able to recruit. But I do also believe that, just for messaging purposes, the rule of 5 may be sufficient in order for the police departments and even the fire department to meet the needs of their agencies in their recruitment and retention efforts. Do we have any other
Just
questions or
one
comments?
quick comment, just to clear up the misunderstanding, because it was not my position that we should not have rules at all. My position was that a specific recruitment rule should not be in the city charter, that should be removed from the city charter. The city charter should indicate that the commission has discretion to promulgate rules, with maybe extra discretion to promulgate specific rules in exceptional circumstances, and then everybody's within the Civil Service Commission. Within the civil service, there are absolutely rules, because in fact today, because the rule of 3 that's in the charter, we're stuck with it, but we have a situation where it doesn't work for us. And so then now we're taking this position out of civil service altogether, so we're actually seating rules. So what I was promoting was take the specific operational rules out of the charter, give the commission, this commission authority to promulgate rules, and with those rules, we'll have a very strong civil service system with good protections all the way around.
May I?
Thank you for that.
I also agree with Chair Hatamian that we need to have rules. I do appreciate Commissioner Rin's thoughts on taking it out of the charter and putting it into commission's hands, but the commission changes constantly and we need continuity. We need continuity. The charter needs to exist for long periods of time. So it is, in my opinion, better to keep it in the charter but have it less restrictive, because when you devise a rule, it's to help everyone, but we're now twice in 1 year learned that we can't operate within our own rules. So we need to now take an exception. So our rule is not working. And the point is not to completely get rid of the rule, but to make it less restrictive. So, and I think that's what everyone here is asking for, is just we're looking at different ways. I do agree with Chair Hatamian that making it the rule of 5 would make it less restrictive. I don't know if they want to make it rule of 7. I don't care what the rule is, as long as it's not so restrictive that we keep having to sign exceptions. I think that's not helping the process.
Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments? May we move to adjourn? Do we have a motion? Move to adjourn?
We don't need
Do
a
we need a
motion.
motion?
Adjourned.
I missed 1 month and I'm all rusty. Come on, guys, what's happening here?
And then you don't even come on time.
I don't even show up on time. It's like, where am I?